this week I decided, what if I went through the entire WrestleMania card and stacked the card with matches including myself? So basically take WrestleMania and transform it to Ryanmania. Who would I pick to face in each of the matches if I were involved in each match? So let's say I decided I'm going to wrestle in the entire, I don't even know what the card is up to, whether it's 14 matches or so, and I was involved in every single match. Who would I pull out of the match? And basically, like, where would I insert myself into the match? So who would I choose to face in each of those matches? So let's start with the Universal title match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Now, you know, as much heat and as much hate as Roman Reigns gets, I do have a lot of respect for the guy, and you know, I realize where a lot of fans say he's got no talent and can't wrestle. I don't think that's the case. I actually do think, you know, there's a reason the WWE is putting so much investment and promotion behind the guy. That being said, you know, if I were to choose between him and Brock Lesnar, I would pick Brock Lesnar. You know, I just think that would be like insane spectacle to have to face the Beast Incarnate. You know, given his UFC background, and even if, like, in the match, basically the match was, let's say, 5 minutes, and the man just was, you know, destroyed me. Still, you know, I think that would be pretty cool to say I faced Brock Lesnar. Moving next to the WWE Heavyweight title between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, I am a fan of both of these guys, having followed their careers in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that being said, if I were to pick between the two of them, I think, you know, both matches would be, you know, very different. You got two different styles. Like if I were to face AJ Styles, you know, he's got a ground game, he's got an aerial game, and then you got Shinsuke Nakamura, who's got, you know, somewhat of an unorthodox style, but a, you know, different style all the same. But if I were to pick between the two, I think I would actually pick Nakamura. Like, as big a fan I am as AJ Styles, you know, being able to keep up with that guy, I think, would be insanely difficult. Whereas I think with Nakamura, you know, a lot of the match would not necessarily be in the aerial acrobatics. I think there would be a lot of drama in terms of, you know, submission game and strikes, and even in terms of, like, some of the pre-match, or I guess, you know, the early moments of the match, as both of us are starting to initially wear each other down. I think there could be quite a story that gets told just in that, and just even seeing some of the matches he had back in New Japan against different styles of wrestlers. I'd actually be really interested to participate in an experience like that. So I would actually lean towards Shinsuke for that. Next would be the mixed tag team match, pitting Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And, you know, for this I would choose to pull Kurt Angle out of his spot and take that place myself, teaming with Ronda Rousey to face Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I mean, I think this is a no-brainer. You know, one, you know, it would be cool to be in a match where I would be on the opposing side to Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey for some of the same reasons that I mentioned against Brock Lesnar. But, you know, I think here, like, opportunity to team with Ronda Rousey in her first match and face, you know, a WWE legend in Triple H. And, you know, frankly, I don't think I'd want to be on the opposing side of Ronda, having, you know, Stephanie McMahon as my backup. So I think it's somewhat of a no-brainer here. I would go with Ronda for that choice. So Ronda, myself, versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Next would be the SmackDown Women's Championship. So Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. Okay, so, you know, let's pause reality for a second. We know that the WWE doesn't do male superstar versus female superstar matches. But again, you know, this whole segment is somewhat ridiculous, so let's suspend reality for a second. And I think here, I would pick Asuka. You know, and I would actually put her over. You know, she'd beat me, continue her winning streak, maybe, like, just destroy me in a matter of 5 minutes. And I think, you know, again, it would, for the same reasons I mentioned putting over Lesnar, same thing here. It'd be kind of cool to be part of that streak. Like, if you go back to the late 90s when Goldberg was building up his streak in WCW, being just one of those names on the list, yeah, sure, why not? Next would be the triple threat match, The Miz versus Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. So for this match, I would pick I mean, again, I'll give The Miz his credit in terms of, like, I think the man's been able to do a lot in his WWE career. He's gone from main eventer, and then struggled in the years following WrestleMania 27, and basically reestablished himself as one of the top heels in the business. And I do have a lot of respect for him. However, I'm a huge fan of Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, and the opportunity to be in a match against the two of them, I think, would be tremendous. So I'd pull The Miz out, take his spot against Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. And, regardless of what the outcome is, I think that would still be pretty cool to be in a match against two of the guys that I've been following even prior to their WWE careers. And next would be the Cruiserweight title final. So Cedric Alexander versus Mustafa Ali. And I've really grown to appreciate the 205 brand, especially since they've made all the changes over the last several weeks once Enzo Amore was released from the company. Here, really a toss-up between which guy I'd like to face. I remember when Mustafa Ali was starting out in the company, he somewhat looked somewhat generic, especially in his ring gear. But I've actually grown to appreciate and realize the guy's actually quite talented. Cedric Alexander I knew before his WWE days. I think for that reason I'd probably give the nod to Cedric, wouldn't mind being pitted against him. But again, really a toss-up here. I think I don't have that strong a preference one way or the other, but I'll give a slight lean to Cedric. The tag team match, Sheamus and Cesaro against Braun Strowman and a mystery partner. You know what, here I'll just say, I'll throw myself into the mystery partner role, keep it simple, and then, basically I assume Braun would do most of the work and destroy the bar and, enjoy a nice lengthy tag team title reign with him. Next, United States title match. I mean, it's kind of funny how SmackDown basically is copying the same format for their secondary title as Raw. Another three-way triple threat match here for the United States title, pitting Bobby Roode and Jinder Mahal against U.S. champion Randy Orton. Here, I'd say, I'm still not much of a Jinder Mahal fan. I still can't wash the idea that this guy was essentially a jobber for all the several years. His stint in 3MB, and then subsequently leaving the company and coming back. Haven't been a fan of him. And, he seemed to become a world champion pretty much out of thin air. So I'd say I'd pull him out of the match, put myself in there against Bobby Roode and Randy Orton. And, Randy's someone who has grown on me over his tenure in WWE. I think someone who deserves sort of the placement he has on the card as being, somewhat, he's a main eventer. He doesn't need a title necessarily at this point in his career. But, I think him having the title could end up giving the U.S. Championship a bit of rub, provided he defends it regularly. And then Bobby Roode, I think, I'm somewhat not a fan of what they've done with him since he's come to the main roster. I still think the man should be a heel. And hopefully they build towards that, maybe if this feud with Orton continues on. So I just put myself in the match against the two of them and pull Jinder out. Probably throw Jinder back into the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. He was actually, I think, he was the runner-up last year, losing to Mojo Rawley as the last guy in the Battle Royal. And then funny enough, a few weeks later, he loses that prestigious match, and a few weeks later goes on to win the WWE World Championship. Still don't understand the booking logic there. Now, there's a few matches that have still not been announced. So, there's it's rumored to have a Shane McMahon Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn match. And there's rumor that Shane McMahon's been injured. I don't know if they're playing up on the angle they did in SmackDown a few weeks back, where he was brutally attacked by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So, let's say you pull him out and an opportunity to team with Daniel Bryan to take on the two of them. I wouldn't want to necessarily pull either Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn out, just because, I do like the idea of, those guys deserve a place on the WrestleMania card. Shane McMahon being on the WrestleMania card, the last few years it seems he's had a place on the card, and great. And as athletic as he is, I'm never a fan of seeing him in matches. I just, I can't get behind the idea of a guy who, wrestles once a year. I believe he's in his 50s now, being able to go toe to toe with, top WWE guys. I never think, like, having AJ fight him last year, I think was a waste of AJ. They had a great match. I'll give them credit for that, but just wasn't a fan of them using AJ in that way. So I would choose to pull him out, put myself in the match, gives me an opportunity to have my dream tag team with Daniel Bryan and go up against two other guys that I'm a huge fan of. The other match, still not announced, but I think basically a given at this time is John Cena versus The Undertaker. Here's a toss-up, but as much of a respect I have for Cena, very similar to what I said about Roman Reigns and the Miz. The Undertaker's still a legend in my book, and is the legend in this match. Cena came around and debuted on the scene in 2002, largely what I consider to be post the big WWE eras. Whereas Undertaker, I mean, he's been around during the tail end of the Hulkamania era. Then WWE graduating into the new generation, and then finally into the Attitude Era. So I'd say having a chance to fight a guy who's had that much longevity and have the opportunity to be one of his list of I think at this point he's up to around 24 25 WrestleMania opponents. I think would be quite cool, even if I end up jobbing and becoming one of the many people who has fallen to him on the WrestleMania card. So there you have it. That's my dream Ryanmania card. It'd be a long night for me, but again, like, completely absurd segment, something I came up with earlier, and that's something I was just thinking as I look at all these matches. And now notice I didn't talk about the Battle Royals. I mean, like, whatever, I could throw my name into one of those, and I don't even know, like, if the WWE ever announces how many names they actually throw into that Battle Royal. I don't think they ever fix on, like, a particular number, whether it's 20 or 30. I just think it's like whatever collection of guys are available get thrown into that match. And now, apparently we have the same thing on the women's side as well. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
I be in my zone. I got this, I'ma do it all alone. I don't need your help.